Hi, I got a question yesterday. It's about co-working spaces and whether you should use them. And I thought, why not make a video about it because there's so little information about co-working spaces in India. So I'll tell you a couple of the things that really make a difference in a co-working space and all of my experience of over 5 years of using co-working spaces, using regular offices, or 8 years if you include regular offices, residential offices, all sorts of offices I have used. And I can tell you a couple of things that will really help you. So, firstly, you must determine the type of your business before you go to the co working space. Certain businesses need the co working space, certain businesses do not need the co working space. It's just a way of wasting money. What kind of businesses need the co working space? There are only two kinds of businesses that need the co working space in which it is critical to get the business running. Okay, meaning that if there's no office, the business will not run. The first kind is the one where you need customers to visit your office physically. So if customers are physically visiting your office, if you have an office in a nice location, which co-working spaces usually are in nice locations or a business center, they are in nice locations. So if customers have to physically come, that helps. Okay, that is the first thing. Second thing, and this thing is also important for many people, wherein the staff need to physically come. So most of the time, people think that you can make staff come anywhere, but that's not the case. If you have a small residential office in which you are working comfortably and you are able to get some, you know, some office boy kind of a person to come and work with you, doesn't mean that quality staff will come here because I've done that. And what I mean, I was not even offering a big salary, so it was not really a big perk for anybody to come to my small office. But apart from that, a small office portrays a lot of different things to the customer, to the prospect. So they'll be thinking, okay, why should I work here when I could be working at that other company which is paying me a little bit less, but uh, I get all these benefits and it's in a good place and it's a good company and I have this pay slip and I can get loans and all these things will be going inside the mind of the potential job applicant if you want somebody to come. Of course, if you're in a startup, it's a different case. You have to work from wherever you get. But if that's not the case, this is what, if you're in a traditional business, a service business, this is the way things work. The people will, or your staff members will think twice about going into some office in a residential place, but they're much more comfortable going into an office in a good commercial space. So that is one of the reasons. A co-working space also allows you to get certain things like a nameplate or depending on because this is required for certain types of tax registrations. If you require that or company registrations, I would recommend you not use the co-working space as a registration for any of those things. Use some address which will be there with you permanently. But if you do need that, or you can need a registered office or operating office, you could use a co-working space. So how a co-working space works is, or a business center works, both are different but very similar. So, how a business center works is that they share all the resources, they take all the burden. You pay a fixed fee in exchange for their services. So, you don't have to take care of the plumbing, the cleaning, the electricity, the internet. All of these things are provided by them in exchange for a fixed monthly fee or in exchange for a fixed monthly fee, or they charge you for the additional services. For example, if you want to use the meeting room, the copier, or you want to use something else that is extra like the projector, then they charge you extra for that, or they could give it to you for free depending on your rapport with the person who is in charge over there, or the rules, or whatever it is. Okay, so we use co-working spaces, and I can tell you from my experience the good and the bad of business centers and co-working spaces. So I've used Regus, which is the biggest business center provider in the world, which has business centers in almost every single major city. So Regus is a master. They know everything and how to convert you, how to sell it to you, how to do X, Y, and Z. So they will sell you on something and then it will keep auto renewing till you cancel it, and the cancellation clause is not that easy as well. You have to tell them 2 months in advance or something like that, 2 3 months. So if you want to cancel, you need to tell them 2 3 months in advance before your lease ends. So the lease is for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and 12 months, and you need to tell them 3 months in advance. In case of 6, 8, 9, or 12 months, you need to tell them 2 months in advance for the 3 month lease. Any which way, this is one thing that can really screw you up if you don't know what it is, because you may not know in your business how long you want to stay. Firstly, uh, if you're a small company, you may want to use that co-working space temporarily and then move on to some other space. While you search for that other space, you may want to use Regus, or you may not have the budget for it. The co-working spaces are not cheap. Yes, it comes at a subsidized rate wherein you compare all the costs and doing it yourself. Yes, it does come at a subsidized cost. However, they want to make a profit. If they want to make a profit, whatever markup, whatever you subtract over there, that adds becomes a margin there. So you need to think about that. So if let's say you want to use the copier for a printout, okay, and sometimes the printout is maybe costing you 1 rupee, 5 rupees, or 10 rupees. Here they may charge you 25 rupees, 45 rupees, or whatever it is. We don't know. Okay, you want to get some courier done. The courier fee will be 100 rupees or 150 rupees. These people will charge you 250 rupees. So these are the kind of things that are marked up. So in Regis in India does not really charge you too many fees, because Indians frankly will not go in for co-working spaces if you start charging them all those fees. And in the initial stages, they'll just waive everything off and say, no, no, I'll manage for you. And later, after 6 months or so, then they'll start charging you. They'll say, sir, we can't give you, we can't give you, we can't give you. So these are the kind of things that happen, especially they have these quotas, so they have to sell a number of offices. So they'll have to also do something, to adjust all those things. So if you want to use that, then it's a good deal. So we talked about customers physically coming to your office. If that is the case, this is the best. You need a physical office in a good location. If you have that, it increases your credibility. It works. That is not the only rule, but it's better than meeting your client in a coffee shop. Staff members coming to your office, as we discussed. Now, some of the cons of a co-working space. The cons of co-working spaces are disturbance. So there are a lot of people working there, and things keep moving around, and people or the housekeeping wants to come and clean. Usually that happens before you enter or after people leave, but sometimes they want to clean in the middle of the day or they want to come for something. I am a very silence and introverted kind of a guy, and I prefer to work in silence. So I've used a cabin, I've used, I think, hard desking or something as they call it. They'll just give you a desk instead of giving you an office. A cabin. Cabins are usually expensive, and if you want a bigger cabin, it will cost a lot. Unless you absolutely need it, it is of no use to go ahead and take that. One more thing is there'll be other companies like Amazon or Flipkart, they'll come and they'll suddenly have a recruiting drive where 100 people will be passing through the company every day, and because of that, they will people keep moving around and people keep talking in the next room. These are the kind of disturbances that will happen. So if these things bother you, you should not go in for a co-working space. One more thing, if you want to save money, don't go for a co-working space. You want to save significant amount of money, don't go in for a co-working space unless you need it for the customer purpose, because usually any other place you find will be better or equally good as the co-working space. So if you go in for a co-working space, prices will start above 10,000 a month, and usually most likely will cost you 15,000 at least if you include basic things, just the basics. If somebody is giving you at 5,000, yeah, maybe it's a good deal. I don't know. But in major cities, I doubt if that is the price that you'll be offered. And depending on the location, it may vary as well. So Co-working spaces have disturbances if things are not perfect, and if you have instructions that you've given to the staff and the staff change, then the new instructions have to be given to those people. And I had one. There was this one place wherein we were three of us in a co-working space. The one me and my business partner, and another third guy. He was working for a UK-based company. And what happened was one day, and they have all these settings that are there in place. So there are some settings which should not be changed. And so this administrator who was there in the co-working space, somebody was complaining about internet issues, and then he plugged out all the Ethernet cables and put them back in some different order. And this man lost all of his internet. Like everything was gone. He didn't understand what was going on, and then then finally we went to the administrator and asked him, and then he said, "Oh, I did this," and then there was the whole day was wasted for him. And these kind of things happen at a co-working space. And if you think they happen everywhere, I don't think they happen everywhere. Primarily because if you are in your own office, you can control many of these things, or you can tell them, don't do it now, do it later. But in a co working space, you are not the only priority. There are a lot of people that are there, and air conditioning is one. If it's getting too cold for you, but the room next door, somebody's just walked in and they need the AC at full throttle, then obviously they're not going to be bothered about your concerns. You will have to manage, or you will have to do something. These are experiences that are definitely happening on regular basis in co-working spaces. You will want to have unnecessary chit chat with people just because they're there, just because you want to say hi, or somebody will come and tap you on the shoulder and say hi. Do you have a minute? And I'm telling you, I'm not such a good person at saying no. And if you say, if I have a minute, and then you come there and they take up 15 minutes of your time, which you otherwise would not have wanted to spend with them, or you wanted to do something else, yeah, I could just learn to say no, or I could avoid circumstances where I have to say no. So if somebody keeps asking you, and that person you're going to see again in during the day, and the most you could say, I mean, I would say him is that, okay, I'm busy now. Maybe you can come back later, or you have to outrightly say no, or get lost, or something like that, which people don't usually do because you want to be nice to other people. So these are the kind of things that I have felt, and these could be specific to me, but I just thought I'll share these few things with you. And I'll leave you with one parting thought, that is that if you're an entrepreneur, please focus on making money as the ultimate and the sole objective. Because if you're a startup, you don't need a co-working space, man. I mean, unless you're getting a startup incubation for free, don't use it. You can work out of a couch in somebody's house. Okay, that is how a lot of startups have come out. You could work out of a garage, you could work out of anywhere, but keep your costs low or free. Don't spend money for anything apart from the things that are absolutely critical to getting your job done. And this is the thing, something I learned the hard way. And even today, I think, had it not been for many of these things, it would have been very difficult for me to do. But focus on the money. Money is the only thing that matters. If you can get employees to work remotely, do it. Don't waste your time, don't waste your energy. If any of these things are possible where you can cut down on costs, please do it. It works, it helps. You will think today that you can pay. If you go to a co-working space, they'll say, if you take a 12-month contract, I can give you only for this much. But what happens is, if you don't want to use that co-working space after 3 months, you will have to pay some cancellation charges, which will compensate them for the loss. And there are these clauses very sneakily placed in those agreements, which you probably won't read. And this is a problem. So unless you know what you're doing, don't go into a co-working space or into an agreement where you don't know what the whole picture is, or don't overestimate your abilities and go in for a business wherein you think you can make so much money. Even if you can, I mean, think about your expenses. So I had to learn this the hard way. So I thought, no, no, we'll pay, no worries, we can make as much money as we want. And then you haven't figured out dog shit about how to make money. So that's going to be a teeny weeny, big, huge, because kind of a problem. If that sounds like something that you don't want to be in, please focus on the money. Keep your expenses low. Work from a coffee shop. Work from some free co-working space, or work from some place, you know, wherein your costs are low. Okay, people have done great things from just their bedroom with their laptop with a small internet connection. If that is something that appeals to you, please do it. I would not recommend a co-working space because many things are not so great unless I was in those two categories which I mentioned, which are staff and customers. So in my case, I don't have physical staff except for one or two people who are willing to work with me anywhere I work. And in our food lab, it doesn't really matter. So anyway, I thought I'd share that with you. If it helped, please do let me know in the comments anything that's valuable to you.